All right, it is a pleasure to welcome to the Lax Goalie Rat Podcast, Skylar Wahlund, starting goalie from Ohio State. Skylar, what's up, bud? Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Let's go. I'd love to hear the story about you first jumping into goal. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was in third grade. I played hockey, and one of my coaches, I didn't even play goalie in hockey. I played like defense, and he just thought hockey players were tough, I guess, and he thought I would be a good suitor to hop in the cage. And I just remember just not being scared of the ball. I maybe attacked it a little bit too much because I don't really remember it making any clean saves. Just they'd be like, "Hey, you got to try to catch it too." But I knew I was a good ball stopper from the start, and it just kind of came naturally. So I think that was a good instinct of mine from the beginning.
Yeah, and you grew up in Ohio, yeah? Talk to me a little bit about the Ohio lacrosse scene.
Yeah, I grew up in Cincinnati. It's like 40 minutes north of this place called Mason. And we actually had a really good high school program. We had people like Ben Randall went there, Matt Bertrams, Scott Spencer, who was a goalie for Ohio State. So I definitely grew up in a great like lacrosse community for Ohio per se. And I mean, we had a bunch of youth dad coaches that kind of like were football coaches converted. My dad coached and he played hockey, never played a day of lacrosse in his life, but they just watched as many videos as they could, went to conferences, and that was kind of my coaching coming up in Ohio. But as I got older, I found out about the club Resolute, who I played for throughout high school, and Stefan Schroeder was the big goalie coach there, and he became my like mentor, and I think he's one of the big reasons why I went from good, great to elite. So he really helped me out. And there was
Awesome.
a lot of drives to Columbus, like 2 hour drives for like an hour lesson, and then it worked out, so it was good.
Yeah. Did you ever train with Burnlore?
I never have trained Bernlohr now. Probably
One
would have been
day.
a good thing to get. Yeah,
One
one
day. Well,
day,
he's got
right?
that Ohio connection, so I was just curious.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about I forget his name. Say the name again. Your mentor and kind of what specifically he taught you.
He just really brought in. Well, he was a very athletic goalie too, and if you see my game, I like to come out of cage a lot and kind of disrupt the defense. I wouldn't advise it too much because sometimes you can play with fire a little bit, But
Right.
that was one thing. Like he always liked to come out. He really helped me with my patience and positioning. Like it was crazy because I was a little bit late bloomer. So my game when I was like younger, I was a little bit shorter goalie, and then suddenly I grew up into this 6 foot frame, and he kind of helped me use that to my advantage and cut down shooter's angle and like kind of play out not a super high arc. I would say play like a medium arc, but I don't like to be too flat, but I like to be out. So there's not like a lot to look at and see. But I think patience was huge. Like he has a really deceptive shot. Like he's a great goalie, but also he's an amazing like field player as well. And his hands are nasty. So I really think he held me out despite, he can really like deceive and like put his shoulder down and leave his hands late. And like then you can't like move early or guess or anything like that. You actually have to sit there, see the ball, and then react. So,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna ask how specifically a goalie can train patience, because it is one of those things that you can learn, right? You can definitely
yeah,
learn it, and like the more you train it, I think you do get more comfortable with the shot and more patient. So how did he do it? Is it like throwing
a lot of hit,
hitches?
a lot of hitches, a
Yeah,
lot of hitches, a lot of you would like fake behind the back and boom. So if you like bite, like you're screwed. Just wait till like you see that white ball come out of that stick.
yeah,
And another coach last year for my senior year, we had this volunteer assistant called his name was Coach Moore, and he was amazing at it. So deceptive, and I think that really helped my game. Like coaches that can do that, because like at a certain point, you know, everyone can shoot pretty fast. You have a velocity, but if you're telegraphing a shot, it makes it
yeah,
easy. And
yeah.
if you have someone that comes in and like, I think hitches are a huge part of it. So you don't like a little dip or something like that. Like when they're coming or sweeping, you just stay set as long as you can and then go. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's easier said than done. I know I definitely have the check mark and goalie, like you can't play tense. You got to play like loose, and that kind of goes along with patience. I think
Yeah.
trusting your
Um,
instincts.
I want to talk about a drill, but that thing you just said, the check mark, I've never heard that, but it makes sense. Like your top hand kind of goes down and then goes over, following the mark of a
Yeah,
check.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
never heard that, but that's great. That's a great kind
yeah,
of little word association.
Mm-hmm.
The other drill I was going to mention that I love is you get these little, like, just any sort of lightweight ball. It could be a little wiffle ball. It could be like the little floor hockey balls, like full foam golf balls, and shoot those.
Yeah.
And like
Gotcha.
the full stick movement is one of those things where young goalies will like see this thing floating at them and then feel like they have to like go already, but you don't, because it's floating at you, right? And so you just sit there and you remain patient and make the save, and it's a really good drill.
Yeah, I think that's Steph used to talk about make the last like 5%. So you kind of see like after someone shoots, and this is the wiffle ball drill will be great for this, but a lot of goalies like they see the initial movement and that's like the direction they're going,
Yeah.
but they don't see the last 5% like all the way into their stick.
Right.
And I think that could be awesome. Like, you see the shot like it's going like stick side, but you actually have to watch that thing in because it's not going the normal speed. It might be moving a little bit. I don't know. I think that's a great drill.
Yeah. Yeah. I posted one to my story today of ECD Greg, East Coast Dice Greg. He shoots a wiffle ball at this.
Saw that. Hits
him right in the head. But it was like, I could tell he's not a goalie, because like, you know, if you're a goalie, like you just don't react and you track that thing and you make a save, right? Mm-hmm. So there you go. How you mentioned not being afraid of the ball, which, you know, for I would say most goalies is pretty rare. Like most youth goalies, like pretty scared of the ball. So maybe this is not a good question for you, but you know, if there is a youth goalie who's afraid of the ball, what tips do you give them?
I would say, and again, I think, yeah, like I think it was honestly kind of rare. I'm a little bit of a psychopath in that way. That it's like, all right, like, you just gonna know you're gonna get hit, and just kind of have to like level with that. But maybe wear like more padding. You know, I think that eliminates fear. I think playing box goalie, I've played box goalie. I played out during box, but I've played like a couple of times, and I could see that being an awesome way to just see a lot of shots in close, and that so it doesn't hurt, and you just kind of get your like used to your body getting in front of it. And I don't know, and at a certain point, at a certain level, if you like really want to win, like you're not, that actually sounds bad, but like if you really want to like succeed, like you're gonna like get hit with the ball, you're gonna have to get your body in front. You can't rely on your stick so much. And like a lot of young goalies, their hands are so quick, and that's like all they fall back on. But there's countless amount of times where if the shot is good enough, like you're just gonna get a piece of it like with an arm and leg, and it's kind of what you have to do. So if you're scared of the ball, I think wearing more and more pads to the point where you just work that out of your brain, you know, more and more repetition at that. And then obviously, I don't know, like wear sweatpants with some shin guards under there. Don't tell anybody, you'll be good to go. For sure.
Yeah. 100% agree. So you played box goalie. Let's talk about that a little bit. That's awesome. Long time ago, like I graduated from college in 2003, and we had like a box team, and our coach threw me in there to like play goalie on our box team. But like, I didn't have any, like I played field style goalie in the box, which like I then wrote an article like, don't do that. Like,
don't try that. Yeah.
Don't try that. Like cause I hated it. Right. And I totally enjoyed playing in the field of box, but like just taking, you know, you see so many shots from such tight range. But talk to me a little bit more about, you know, about box goalie and kind of what that brought to your field game.
I think positioning for sure, like coming out and challenging shooters a little bit. I said I played hockey back in the day, and we used to play street hockey at my house in Mason, and I would always suit up as hockey goalie. So that honestly helped my box game a little bit, because it's similar. You kind of got like your glove here, you got your stick down. So it wasn't a new position per se for me.
All right.
Patience is huge. You can't buy on every little fake, especially, I mean, we would play like Buckeye box, and you guys have like guys Jackson Reed, like Jason Knox, these guys who are NLL players. So you can't beat them, bite on the first one, not even usually the second one. You gotta come out and just stay as big as possible. I think playing big is something I really got from like box goalie.
Yeah. I mean, just being big as possible. Cause as a youth, when like you're starting out and you see a shot, you know, so often like you naturally get small, right? Yeah. So staying big is super important. Yeah. And just that, you know, the volume of shots, I think is really important.
Shots inside too. Just because that's the thing in like field. If you get like a 7-yard step down in like the middle of the field, you're not gonna be so eager to jump out at it or like react to it. But in box, you get so many of those, so you can kind of get used to that speed because it's so close. And if you get hit, it doesn't hurt. So
Yeah.
then if you go to the field, you're kind of ready for that. All right, see that wand move and go. And that's kind of one more, like when it's close and like that, you can't really have that like last 5% and see it. You just kind of have to see that like white thing go into a spot and just kind of throw yourself at it, and hopefully you get a piece or you can make a clean save.
Yeah.
But
yeah, totally. There's this, there's a phrase I learned from the Goalie Smith guys. I'm actually wearing their hoodie right now.
there you go. Yeah.
Read them and beat them. Read them and beat them. I don't know if you've heard that. I don't know if that's something that's kind of something you incorporate in your game, but essentially inside shots, sort of read their body language a little bit, beat them to the spot. Is that something you do?
I think some guys can telegraph it better than others. I don't ever like, you can anticipate, but you don't really want to guess. I think coming, when people come around from X and they're like finishing, I think that's a little bit easier to anticipate if they like drop their hands, lower their shoulder, inside. If you have a great like fake, there's really nothing you can too much do about it. But some guys will just like shoot like low. A lot of people like to shoot low inside. College players love to shoot low, so you kind of have that in the back of your head a little bit because like, I don't know, it's a little bit easier to score, I'd say.
Yeah.
When you get in the summer circuit, people want to look all sexy and go like bar down, but you can't really. In college, you got to kind of know that more low than high usually. So you kind of keep that in the back of your head, but you don't want to guess.
Right. What about on outside shots? Because when I played, I feel like everyone shot low. Like low was anywhere, just because there's so much more like space down there, down low.
Well,
but now
you got to move there. If it's high, if you got to get all the way down, you can use the ground to your advantage.
Right. It just seems like there's a lot more space to shoot down there, from the shooter's perspective. But there was no Instagram and there was no YouTube when I played. So like, now, like, let's be honest, like the low to high stinging a corner, that is a very aesthetically pleasing shot.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of outside shots are now shooting high. And do you have that in the back of your mind?
To be honest, I think it's about a 50-50. I think a lot of people like to shoot low inside, especially because if you snap your hands, it's almost damn near impossible to get down there that fast. Players have tendencies, so I don't want to put it into like one bucket. I think one thing I've grown as a goalie is making sure kind of the scout, because people do like to do different things, and it kind of depends on like the person you're seeing. So just in the Big Ten, like whoever, if we're playing Rutgers, playing that team up north, kind of try to memorize what the middies like to do a little bit. Obviously, like I'm saying, don't guess, but you kind of have that in the back of your mind. Like this person splits to their right, comes down the alley, like 70% of the time they like to shoot high. And you're like, all right,
yeah,
you can kind of sit on that a little bit more. So I think knowing the scout, and obviously you don't have that for a lot of like high school and like lower levels, but for me, that's kind of what I like to think about.
Yeah, but even at the lower levels, like you play the same teams over and over.
Yeah.
And like you probably see the guys at least a couple times throughout your 4-year career in high school or club. So yeah, I think it still applies. But it's interesting because I've heard goalies go both ways. I talked to Bernlohr, and he is like film guy. Like he loves the film. He'll eat it up. He'll want to know tendencies on every single player. He'll want to know, all right, when he's driving, from X, what does he do? He wants to know that level of detail. Then there's other goalies that are like, I just want to know what hand he is, because I don't want to have all this like stuff in my head when I'm trying to make saves. So I think there's kind of a range, but just find what works for you.
No, I would say, yeah, there's definitely a couple of saves I made last year that I was like, we do personnel clips, like obviously on like the top like 8 or 9 offensive players on a team, and I definitely made a couple of saves. This person always shoots at this same spot, and just kind of ready to go from there. So I can see how Bernlohr loves to know the tendencies there.
Yeah.
With hands, I think at this level, like everyone can kind of go both ways. But if someone is that, hands usually help me with like a defenseman, like be like loves his left, like force him right, or just like those types of tendencies, like roll back. Like that's another thing where my game I think has like grown hugely, is like other than just like calling out the defense. Like when someone's like dodging, I can kind of like walk them like through it, just give them like little reminders. I don't want to be like annoying, but it's like, hey, sit, like get a punch. It loves to roll back here, loves to roll back. It's kind of like anything I can like help them and instill some confidence in that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
Myers has helped me out big with that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm good.
that's a part of lacrosse goalie communication, right? And if you can add that to your game, I mean, it just takes your game and your defense to the next level.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, is there specific saves that you remember from last year where it was like, oh, that was a scout save?
Yeah. I don't even know if I should even mention it. There was definitely one against Rutgers for sure. Um, and there was a
Why?
couple
In case they listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh man, he knew, we'll get him."
not there was one midi who came down and it was picture perfect. I've seen the exact play, same dodge in film. I was like, he's gonna shoot right here. And I honestly probably did gas a little bit. I was like, he's just going there, I know it, and he shot it right where I was thinking he was gonna shoot it.
That's awesome.
Money.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did your coach help you with that communication?
I just know when I took over the job last year, and as a goalie, I think it starts with your play a little bit. I was so caught up on saving the ball, doing this and that, and then once you get to a certain point of confidence and all right, this is coming easy to me. Not the goalie's not an easy position, but when you're focused and you're in it, now it's how can I step up my game? And I remember Coach Myers brought me to the office last March, and he was like, here's what we need more from you. You're just focused on or if you make it a sick doorstep save, but we don't want that to be the standard. Here's how you can make sure that you're getting a 12-yard runner except for that or other than that. And it was just like I said to you, it's more communication, it's less yelling. I sometimes you get heated in there, and it's you got to keep your composure. You got to be talk through the defense, or talk to your defense about what the offense, what's actually happening. I think 7 helmets when we bring it in after we get a goal scored on needs to be quick, needs to be efficient. One voice. If I didn't see what happened, all right, guys, what went wrong? How can we fix it? Boom, jog it off. I've been on teams and defenses where it's kind of a mumbo jumbo, and it hasn't been that efficient, and you don't really feel like anything's getting fixed. But let's say if someone gets bit, you clean down the alley, you're hey, we gotta get a punch, give them something to slide at. I'll get a punch next time. Good. We're done. I think just little cues like that, and I think it gives confidence to a defense and makes my job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. That's, like your coach said, those are things that can prevent good shots by the offense, right? I mean, it can increase your save percentage, increase your team's defense just by adding that to your game. I always I did analysis of Jack Runkle, who's presented on my goalie summits. He was a great
he's a Loyola, right?
Loyola grad, All-American.
That's so funny you say that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But
go ahead.
My roommate Jack Myers last year showed me a clip of Jack Runkle talking through. I think they were playing Duke, and he was talking I was oh my goodness. That I was there's levels to this, and that I try to take some of that from that video I saw. I was geez.
Yeah, that's the exact video I broke down, and his communication is kind of is so great, so great for the youth to learn from. It's not only what he says, but also how he says it. There's just passion, and certain commands have urgency behind them. Certain ones don't, right? I mean, that's very important in the tone. And there's just at one point his defense is not talking enough, and he just says something real passionate, talk it up, Green, talk it up, Green.
Yeah.
And you're just oh man, it just got me so fired up. I'm yeah, that's the kind of goal you want,
1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm not agree more. That's funny that you bring that up.
Yeah.
I saw that, and that definitely inspired me last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you think you could do this? And I was yeah, I think I could. I think awesome. Something like it.
Speaking of other goalies, who are there college guys when you were younger, or maybe pro guys now, that you kind of really watching their game, learn from their game?
I would say Scott Spencer, obviously being a Mason guy who went to Ohio State and a lefty, kind of tried to idolize his game a little bit, or model after. I know he used to come back to Mason and give lessons, and he was more Stefan was more middle school to high school, and Scott Spencer worked with me 4th, 5th, 6th grade, maybe a little bit early middle school. And it was just early fundamentals, like just learning how to throw the ball, how to hold your stick. Like this, I remember we rep out low 5-hole saves for days, and I like didn't even know like to point your bottom hand, to get over it with your chest, like this little things like that. And getting that type of coaching early on was like huge for me. Another guy I love to watch is Blaze Reardon. His patience and his hands are so quick, and he never looked at. He always makes it look so easy, like he's just loose in there. Like he's never just like he never tenses up. He's just always kind of moving. I would like he doesn't get a set as much as probably I do. Like he's kind of always he plays a little more upright, but I mean he's like the best of the best. Love watching his game. Obviously Kyle Bernlohr, he's another beast. I'm naming all lefties right now, but
hey, keep it going with the lefty goalie community, right? If you thought the lacrosse goalie community was small, the lefty goalie community gets even a little smaller, huh? What do you,
100.
What do you think? Do you think like being a lefty gives you a certain advantage being a goalie? Maybe because there's not as many, like shooters don't see them and they're not used to them. I don't
know. I mean, in our practice, like probably for sure, because we have 3 other righties. I've literally been the only like lefty since like I've been here, to be honest. I think so. Yeah, I think goalie or teams do a good job of having like they'll have like both on a squad. So if they're playing someone that week, I think like I know like from past experience, if we were playing like lefty that week, I would go be like the scout team goalie for that time in practice and kind of get used to seeing that. So I don't think it helps me too much during like a game. Maybe some kids are a little bit more used to shooting on one another, usually a righty, right? So that would help me out in that case. But I don't know if it gives too much of a difference. I don't know. Yeah. What would you say that?
No, like just other than I mean, knowing like where his off stick side is, right? Yeah, like where to shoot. So you might be used to finishing inside on a righty goalie during practice, because we only had righty goalies on our team. And then when you see a lefty, it's like, oh, that spot that I've shot at 100 times, that's not the right spot to shoot at now.
Yeah, if someone loves like a specific spot, then it can get a little bit harder.
Yeah,
I think like I don't know. I think it's harder for like a lefty to shoot on another lefty, because like I feel like a lot of people when they shoot like sidearm, or they like to bring it like at poles like closer, so they go near side, and it's like my stick side. So like righties, like when they pull, it's like my off stick, so that's like makes it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, good point. That is a good point.
Again, I'm just kind of spitballing there. I'm not a shooter, so.
Well, neither am I.
Hopefully, it makes it as hard. Hopefully, it's as hard as possible on them.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get back to the goalie talk. Get back to something we do know something about here. So talk to me a little bit about your recruiting process and your decision to attend Ohio State.
Yeah, so I remember going on. It was like before Inside. It was like Ty Zander's like recruiting rundown, and I would like go through and check off like every school if they had a goalie. I was like, all right, not going there. And this is like an 8th grade, like freshman year. Obviously, it was so different. Like the September 1st wasn't really around when I was going through the process, but Resolute got me in front of a lot of coaches, and I had interest from West Point and Marquette, and like I said, like Ohio State had committed a goalie like so early on, so I had them crossed off from like the very beginning, and I never really thought Ohio State would be an option. So when I was going on the circuit, I went to a Buckeye like top 200 camp, because there would be other like college coaches there too. So I just wanted to get like in front of as many people as possible. And Coach Myers, like obviously he had heard of me just because I was like the Rezo goalie, and like he does a lot of stuff with Rezo, and like obviously really good friends with like Greg Weiss and Matt Lee and Anthony Kelly. And I don't even really remember like the conversation we had. I know that he told Matt Lee after that he like liked my demeanor and just my confidence. And I think I was honestly like, I think he asked me like where I was going like for the rest of like the summer, and I was already kind of like a little salty because he'd already taken an Ohio State goal or like a goalie. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to like Ivy Leagues. I'm going to like blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, and I guess he like liked that I was like confident or just being like firm or stern with like my speaking. And I remember like 2 weeks later, this is just after I got an offer from Marquette, and I thought that was where I was going to end up. I loved the school. And then Coach Lee called and was like, hey, like Coach Myers is about to call you. Like he's interested, and like one thing led to another. And like being from Ohio, like kind of dream of being a Buckeye, and especially because I didn't think the opportunity would ever like happen, like crossing off my list early on. So that
Right.
when it kind of became an option for me, it was almost like a no brainer. So I couldn't be happier about like how things ended up and staying in the home state representing.
Love it, man. Congrats. Well, I want to hear a little bit about your time when you first got there. But first I had a question because a goalie emailed me or DM'd me the other day. She's a junior, I think a junior or sophomore, and going through the recruiting circuit, and asked like, what can I do to get the coach's attention? And you just mentioned something right there, which is kind of what I told her, which is a lot of it is about the way you handle yourself out there. Right. Like at a certain extent, you got to make saves, but like when you get to a certain level, like everyone can kind of make the saves. Right. But it is about that confidence, and it is about, the way you communicate and the way, your positivity. Do you agree
100%.
with that?
No, 100%. I think just how you like interact with your defense too when you're at tournaments is like a humongous thing. Like not yelling, slaveristic, great body language, not like palms up after like a shot or anything. Like that goes a long way. Other than like making saves, I think when you're reaching out to coaches, like personalizing emails is like a big one. Like don't like make it seem like it's just like a dump to like 50 different schools. Be like
Right.
pick like 10 that you actually want to go to. Personalize like, hey coach, like this is like this is the program I love. This is like why, like this little things that like make it seem personal will help
Right.
you.
Right.
And then I think you need to have a highlight film, whether it doesn't need to be like long. It just needs to be some like your best saves, like 3 minutes max, and then just like send it off. I think those all like help. And again, like when you get on the phone with the coach, speak confidently. Obviously, if they love your game, they're gonna love you. But it's just like that. Like I honestly think I got like Coach Myers like recruited me there because I probably played like pretty well at the thing, but he said he like just loved the confidence and demeanor I had like about me, and that goes a long way. Just speaking with confidence, having eye contact, good handshake, all those things I think can help you out.
Yeah. Where do you think that confidence comes from for you?
We actually we talked about this the other day. So we talked about how competence leads to confidence, and
Right.
that's like competence is like your base. It's like your skills, your fundamentals, the work you put in, and that leads to confidence. And that was one thing like last year for me. Like I changed up like my training regimen a little bit. I used to be a guy that just got like a ton of like shots, the step downs from like other like shooters, and at a certain point, I think that kind of develops. You sort of develop like bad habits because some kids like aren't really focused on you like getting better. They're focused on just like pinging it or like scoring. And
Right.
if they're shooting from like 12-yard step downs and you start bringing your hips forward, you start dropping your knees, like things just start like you're just repping out like bad like movements a ton. So like for me, I went back to the drawing board. Like this was like going into my senior year, like last year. And I was like, all right, well obviously what I've been doing the past 2 years has not worked out. So how can I change it up? And like, I mean, I have nothing to lose at this point. So let's see how this goes. And I did a ton of band work. We had these, I know one of your questions was, what is like an unusual thing I like to do? And we use the Kaiser machines. It's like a cable cord that I put around my ankle. And it's like, I do like stick side, and it's like really good for my first step. And then I move it to my right foot. So then it's like bringing my back foot with me. And this little things, like little fundamental drills to like develop that muscle memory that like change that develop. Sorry, this is like way like on the tangent to like confidence, but
Yeah.
those little things like develop. Like if I have a bad practice, I know at the end of the day I can go work hard. I have that in my back pocket, and if I do that, I know I'm gonna be confident like the next day, like no matter what.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
That makes
just
total sense. That was a huge mental game lesson that I learned in the last goalie summit from one of the presenters. And he said, like, if you have a bad game, like, immediately as soon as you can, get out there and get some work in, like take shots or hit the wall or like do band work. And then like, the taste in your mouth is not that bad game, right? You're not just sitting there like with those bad feelings, those bad thoughts. the taste in your mouth is I just trained for an hour, you know, whatever. I'm feeling good. Like I'm a good goalie, you know, so that's a huge one.
So those little things, I think, like working hard and like actually drilling it out, like it gives me confidence because I know I have put in the work. And a lot of times, like my freshman year and like sophomore year, I would just be like, oh, like I hope I play well. I hope I do this. It's don't hope, like you know you're gonna like do well because you've like put in the time, you put in like the work. And that's something I really learned like last year.
Yeah, it's like you got to trust yourself too, because I think, you know, a lot of goalies put in the work and put in all that effort, and then guess what? On game day, they still have those feelings of like, oh man, I hope I play well, right?
Yeah.
So like learning to trust yourself and trusting that training is very good for goalies. And yeah, the competence leads to confidence. Yeah. It's like once you've done it, like putting in the work helps, right? If you studied hours and hours and hours and hours for a test, you're gonna walk into that test feeling confident because you've put in the work, right? Same idea. If like you've taken a test like that and you've gotten an A on it, you've aced it, right? Next time you've been in that experience.
No, you're gonna do well.
I also, though, I'm a firm believer in that for a very young goalie, I think you can fake it.
Confidence.
Yeah, I think you can. Like, just, you know, if you hold yourself, your body language, right? If you train your mind, right, at the very beginning, like it's this really weird thing where like you've done nothing to earn that confidence. You don't earn it. You know, there's no confidence. You've done nothing to earn it. But like, I do think if you fake it, it starts, especially with your body language and the way you carry yourself, it starts to snowball.
I think your voice too. If you're loud, you can really like fake some confidence.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to come in as a young kid, like on a team. Like you come in as a freshman and you want to like have other people like to like lead. It's having that confidence, but it can be like false confidence too. And not false, but like fake. And just keep faking it until you make it, and eventually like it'll come, like hopefully, right? But like, you know, no one really usually comes in. It's like, yo, I'm the man. Like I'm like gonna lead this defense. Like I can do this. Like have a loud voice. Like no one actually probably believes that usually because you haven't done anything to earn it. Right. Like that's the way to earn it, is just be that confident guy, be someone that the guys can look to and actually like learn from, and like that they feel confident because of your confidence. If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. So you get to then Ohio State, and does like, you know, does your goalie game change?
Not freshman year, and I used to I used to get flop like a ton, dropped my knees, wasn't that patient of a guy. I used to hold my like stick. Like, how do you feel about like where a goalie should like hold their stick? I used to be a big like 90-degree like straight up and down. Now I'm at probably like a 75.
Yeah.
I used to have my bottom hand like punched all the way out, so just like here, like no like give or like mobility. But now I kind of come in here, play a little bit lighter in my hands.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like, I don't really know what I'm doing there, but
no, I 100% agree with you. You watch some of these older goalies, and you're right. And even like, I've talked about this on the show before, but like I sent this graphic designer a picture of a lacrosse goalie, Kip Turner, like old, he coaches at Virginia, and old goalie. And he has that stance where like the bottom hand's like totally locked out and like on the other side. And so now my rat has that stance, and I don't like it.
No,
I don't like it. I do think you need a little bit of bend in the stick. I do think you need loose, relaxed arms.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. And my play like right now is such a product of 4 years of Coach Myers over in goalie world, just working on pipe play and this how to actually step with the ball, making sure like a lot of times like goalies' hands are so fast, and that like so like if you go off stick, my hands will start to move, like my upper body will move, my right foot like stays put, you know, so then I kind of get over myself. And like one thing I've learned like huge is like your feet need to move first, and that's like how you can actually move your body in front of like the ball. And like for me, like it's really like off stick is something I've like worked on so much. Like it's a lot of like the Kaiser like cable drill, like making sure this right foot gets out in front of me, so then I can stay balanced and stay square to the shooter instead of like getting like over and then turning like my hips.
Yeah.
But little things like that. But I mean, it's changed so much over the years. It's like it's nuts how much work, like how different my game is from where I am today than like senior high school. And senior high school, I thought I was like the man, and this not.
Yeah, it's funny when even nowadays, like some goalies will get to like have tremendous success and just have like blaring flaws in their game, like like the hands locked out or just a stance that's really weird. I think Troutner talked about that, like up until like his last days at High Point, like he had like a horrible stance. And then finally got it fixed. I was just looking at what that Kaiser machine is. It's essentially like the pulleys, like you would do like cable.
Yeah, it's a pulley. So I bring it all the way down to the ground, and then there's like different like attachments you can put on it, and I just like it like wraps around my ankle, and I just go like my left foot, and I go stick side, then off stick. So it's like working on my first step and like bringing my back foot, and then I put it on my other foot and just do the same thing. Just like rep it out. That jump rope, juggle. It's like my top three right there. I just keep rotating around. It's good. Jump rope, juggle, Kaiser machine. If Kaiser machine isn't available, because it's like in our weight room, I do like a band like around my hip, and it's the same deal. Just go that way.
Yep.
Go to my off stick.
Yep.
And then I'm a big believer in hands with a band like around my ankles too. It's so much band work, honestly, but
nice.
Bands like do a great job just making sure we get our body like moving right now and not like reaching towards the ball,
right?
Overemphasizing getting that body going. And then, are you a fan of short stick? Like short stick it early on, like in a warm up, just making sure like you see it the whole way in. That's the important thing. It makes it. Then when you get your goalie stick, it looks a whole lot bigger.
So when I would play, I would get out there to the field early and just have a catch with the shorty. Just because a lot of it, like how you catch a bad pass. I mean, just get your hands going. You're tracking the ball. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the short stick. I also started playing midi too, so that's why my hands were buttery smooth.
Well, yeah, I honestly didn't play just goalie until my junior year of high school. My sophomore year of high school, I like started lefty attack for my Mason team. I like played lefty attack for them, and I won't get into that right now. But I think playing both like really helped me just like understand the game like better, just playing out, and I think it like helped me develop pretty good hands for if I do come out of the cage, I can hold my own a little bit.
Right. Yeah. 100%. When you get to Ohio State, Josh Kirsten is the starter. Yeah, talk to me about what kind of you learned from watching him play.
Josh plays a little bit flatter than I do. When he changed that up like so much this year at Hawkins, he would like come out and challenge like crazy. It's just another like how different a goalie can like change their style like over some time.
Right.
But I've never been like in a room like that with like that much talent. So like Josh like really helped me just like with like camaraderie and like supporting another goalie and like backing him up. It was obviously like pretty like, you don't want to be a backup, but then when your counterpart is playing well, that makes it easier for you. And I think we really like push each other like so much like to get better. Just every day competing. Like I know I was making him work harder, and obviously like he was making me work harder. Or this being the backup, obviously you're gonna work as hard as you can to try to get to that spot. But no, I love Josh. I mean that other than this, like he played he played a little bit back on his arc, and I think I used to play like really high out in high school, and he like, I guess I could take from him a little bit, like give myself some more time to see the ball. But his commanding of the defense, like his D loved him, or I guess like our defense, but like he just knew how to talk to them so much better. He was very calm, never really got too like ahead of his skis, and I think that's something like I could take from him. Like he was very calm, cool, and collected always. So
yeah. Awesome guy too. I had him on the show. Great guy.
Great goalie.
Yeah.
Great guy too. Yeah.
What happened to the goalie that was committed, that was committed to Ohio State? So you crossed off the list. Did he end up like decommitting, or did you guys take two goalies that year?
He did. his name is Michael Klimanoff. He did come he was here his freshman sophomore year, and then he transferred to Salisbury. So he's
Got
at
it.
Salisbury right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. And how many goalies do you guys have on the roster now?
4. So it's me, Kane Johnson, Henry Blake, and Oren Galinas.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Did you Caden is a new transfer. He just transferred in this year or last year?
Last year. He
last year. Yeah.
UNC, yeah.
Right. So talk to me about, what goes through your head when you see like, oh, we're getting a new transfer, like someone who's really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, my junior year, we got a transfer in from, his name is Alec Van de Bovenkamp, from Furman. So, and then you get that, and then like obviously like started those first 3 games, and then he took over, and then you get another transfer. So, I mean, it's not like we needed like depth there for sure. Like we needed, and I think the Caden thing was like, I knew we were going to push each other, but I mean, it's never like, I never like let my confidence take a hit. It's obviously a signal to me being like, hey, like you better like figure it out, or this is going to be like the route we go. So I think if anything, it motivated me to work even harder. And yeah. I think that was like another thing that you could like make, if you're like a backup and like you're working like harder or just as hard as, not even just as hard, but if you're working harder than every other goalie there, like it makes your life a whole lot easier to like this level with it. Be like, okay, like I know I'm working as hard as I can. Like if I don't like, and the hard part about being a backup is you never really know if the opportunity is going to come, and usually it's like, you don't want to hope for it because that means that goalie's not doing well and that therefore this team is suffering. So you don't want that, but you want your opportunity. So the harder you work, and if it comes, it comes. If not, you gave it your all and you put in as much effort as you possibly could.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a certain mentality of goalie that would say like, oh man, that was supposed to be my starting. This is supposed to be my year. Right. And just be bitter about like the fact that a transfer has come in when nothing is given to you, right? Nothing is given to you. Like you got to earn every single thing. And so, the better attitude. Yeah, the better attitude is like, all right, great, more competition. Let's go, right? I'm gonna outwork this guy and be the best goalie I can be.
Yeah, you got it.
And he's thinking the same thing, right? So, and I'm sure you guys have a great relationship now and push each other and have fun out there, right?
No, yeah. Me and Kay are really, really close. Honestly, the whole G unit, we get along so well. We're really supportive of each other, and I mean that's just, you can't ask for anything better than that. We all compete. We all want each other to do well, and we all try to make each other better. So it's good.
Love it, man. You're dropping G units out there.
Yeah, G unit. Yeah. It's been around. It's been passed down. I don't know who started it, but it's G unit's been in the squad for as long as I've been here. So
there you go. What do they call you on the team? Do you got a nickname?
Uno, Scheist. Coach Myers calls me Penny sometimes because one. But because you're number one. Yeah. And I'm a Bengals fan, so Joe Shiesty. If you've heard Joe Burrow called that, I get called Sky Shiesty sometimes. So kind of like that one. Yeah, that's what Coach Green likes to go with.
Gosh, I love it. Well, you guys had a pretty good year last year. I mean, probably obviously, you wanted to go further, but you make a run in the to the Big Ten semis and then make the tournament and have a NCAA finals tournament game. Talk to me about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience for finally making the tournament since I've been here. Obviously, would have liked to do that some more, and this blessing and like another opportunity to go after it again this year. But I won't really talk like too much on it. It was good to be in, but obviously it's not where we wanted to end up at all. And I think we returned like a lot of key pieces that we had last year, and a lot of freshmen that are going to be sophomores this year. Then I think that's like the biggest jump that people usually make, and just excited to get back on the saddle and try to make a run at this thing. I'm really, like I said at the very beginning of this thing, I'm pretty pumped about the team we have this year and the guys coming back and some of the new additions. So it'll be interesting how it all pans out and who's where. So it'll be good.
Yeah, let's go. Well, I'll be watching. I'll be watching. And you said you just started fall ball this week or maybe last week. So getting back out there, huh?
Yeah. Monday. Yeah. So today was our third practice. It's good. It feels good to, when you first come back, just a lot of running and liftings, but finally starting to get back on the field and, play some full go. And it's been fun.
Yeah. Do you guys do double days to start off? No,
it's usually just, you talking about like fall ball or like early?
Yeah. Fall ball.
Before, fall ball.
Yeah.
We just 7:30 to 9:30 practice. And if we have a lift, it's like 7:30 to 8:30 and then an hour lift. So just
in the morning,
2 hours a day. Yeah.
Get it going. Get it going early.
Big in the morning. Get out of the way. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes being a goalie, and you got to be awake and see the ball at like 7:45 in the morning. It's not ideal, but you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, I bet. Well, cool. Like I said, good luck in this upcoming season. Gonna be tons of fun to watch. What is it like playing in the? You guys play in the shoe? Yeah, the Ohio State Stadium.
So we have played in the shoe my past 4 years, and this is one of the perks of come back for a 5th year as well. Is that we are opening our new stadium in January, so we get to play in that, which would be like unreal. Like you
guys got a brand new stadium for this year?
Brand new stadium, yeah. It's open up, and pretty sure it's January. Might be, don't quote me on that, but it's either December or January of coming up here. So we'll get to play in that, and it's gonna be packed, and I honestly can't wait because we get a lot of people at our games in the shoe, but because it's such a humongous stadium, it doesn't really feel like that big. But if you put that number of people in this new stadium, it's going to be like packed. It's going to be sold out. So we have like a brim around the field. It's a heated field too. So like during the year, like we don't really worry about like snow and like icing over or anything like that. So I couldn't be more happy about it. It's gonna be electric. So I can't wait to get in there.
That's amazing. Is it lacrosse only or?
Yeah, it's men's, women's lacrosse.
Wow,
only. It's good.
Amazing.
Nice great investment from the university.
Yeah,
they're really buying into this thing. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing about playing in those stadiums. Like it's like an amazing experience, but like you can get 2,000 fans and it feels like two people are there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I played at Cal and like the fans are literally like, you could get 100 fans and they're all standing on the sideline, like, maybe two layers deep. And it just feels like there's so many people there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's awesome. One thing I did like about the television broadcast of it's like such a unique angle. I don't know if you obviously watch games on that have been broadcast there. It's like so aerial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're so high up. I feel like the Big Ten Plus like does it like way higher, and then when we play like on ESPNU or something, it's like a little bit lower.
Right.
I don't really know. I'm hoping that. Do you like that huge aerial view? I know exactly what you're talking about. It looks like they're so high.
I do and I don't. Like I do in the sense that it's a unique view, and you could really use it to watch like defense and offense and like see kind of where all the players are moving around the field. But I don't feel like you get as good as looks for the goalie, which I really like to watch. It's just like a weird angle. So
yeah.
Pros and cons. Yeah.
We'll see how it is this year in the new stadium. Yeah, but that is a big like. I don't know, I think that would be huge, like for recruiting too, just to get more people here. And like I know we played in like Penn State's my freshman year, and that was the first like lacrosse only stadium I've been in. That place was, I've never seen anything like that. So I just can't wait to see what Ohio State can do and how we put this thing together. It's gonna be state of the art, and it's gonna be awesome. Sorry, you're just getting me like hyped up about it now.
Yeah, hey, that's what this show's all about. Just talk goalie and get hyped up,
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so switching gears a little bit, the mental game, obviously, an important aspect of being a great goalie. What do you have any mental game lessons or mental game tips that have really helped you?
I think positive self-talk is like a huge thing. Like I'm constant, like other than like talking to the defense, I'm talking to myself constantly. Like it's probably a little bit like repetitive, but I'm just like to myself, I'm like square patient, like square patient, see ball, like breathe, like it keeps me loose. Just like, get steady. I think when you let in a goal, like you can't focus on the past because there's another shot like coming in the present. So like just know like I can make up for that like right now. Or like think about like if you like have like a doorstep saved and like that bad goal you just let in, like no one's thinking about it. Like I promise you. And it's just like you gotta tell yourself that like you cannot live. It's a next shot mentality. I'm sure you hear that like on every like podcast, but it's I mean you're a goalie, you know exactly like you just gotta it's the next one up for me.
Well, it's a cliche because it's true. I mean, that's really how you have to do it. Yeah. And that positive talk, very important as well. I love that. And so yours is what was it like square, like stay square to the shooter, to the shot?
Square to the shooter and patient. Always.
Yeah. Yep.
Square patient. And then sometimes just add like a see the ball. Square patient, see the ball. See that ball come out of there. Just stay set. I know we did me and my goalie coach last year, we statted it out, and if you're set, that's better than being like in a good like position. So like some people like will try to like make like a little like minuscule like movements to like get to like close to a pipe or more in the middle of the field. But if you just stay set like for longer, like we made like way more saves than it because like right when you start moving and like the shooter like a shot happens, like it just like messes with everything. You got to stay set. It's like square set, patient, all those things that kind of go along the lines. But like I don't even know if I'm even really thinking about it. I think I just have to like say it, and I just feel like I'm ready to go after that.
Yeah, it becomes like a habit, so you don't say something negative to yourself because that negative self-talk can kill you.
No, and then like when something like goes wrong, it's like, okay, like was I set there? Was I patient? Like no, okay, like let's do that next time. Then it's like a kind of a checklist for me.
Yeah,
and it makes it easier to like just think it through. Another thing I'd say is like you want to stay like level. You don't want to get like too high after something like good happens or like too low. Like and I've definitely done that before. Like got like so like ahead of my skis, like it's way too much like energy, and it's just like kind of like gets you like unfocused and like you're not thinking about anything else except for like the good thing that just happened. This good thing happens, good. Bad thing happens, like okay, and that's just stay. Like you just want to be like level headed the entire time. I mean, I try to stay like that. Sometimes you can get a little bit excited, but
that's
in those bigger games.
That's one that I've heard. That's one that I've heard a lot. That kind of stay even keel, and it's one that I don't agree with in the sense of like I love to ride those highs. I felt like I played better like giving like a little, like getting into the game and giving like a big gesture. But of course, like you don't want the lows. And so if you're a goalie where like if you give into those highs that produces really strong lows, then I would say, be more even keel. But if you can control those lows, like and always be sort of pushing up.
Yeah.
I mean
it's not one size fits all. Like that would be awesome if you could just play at that level the whole time. It's like high energy, you're good, and I feel like that gives you confidence. Like after you make like a really good save or just like a couple saves, you're just like, okay, like now I'm in this game. Like I can the ball looks like a beach ball. Like honestly, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I had a goalie, the big tasty hawk, Caleb. He's gonna go to Ohio State next year. He committed. What advice?
He was out on Tuesday.
Was he?
He was with us yesterday. Yeah, he came and visited the G unit.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm watching practice. Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, great guy. I was gonna ask what advice would you give him? Coming into Ohio State, or I guess maybe said another way, what advice? Now that you're a senior going in the fifth year, what advice would you give your freshman self?
Leave your ego at the door. For sure, you're coming on a new team, like you haven't accomplished or done anything yet. Like high school does not matter up to this point. This is a whole new environment, and just come in like ready to learn. Like there's gonna be, you already know like you're talented, so like you have that, but you're coming here to build skill. You're coming here to learn a whole new like defense. You're coming here to play in the Big Ten. This isn't what is St. John's, and I don't know, like whatever the WCAC.
Mm-hmm.
Just I would say coming with that type of mindset. And obviously he's already pretty like highly touted. Like I know he can play, and so like for him it's going to be probably like more of a mental like type deal. Just to come in, be confident, but definitely not cocky. Don't try to just like think you're better than anyone else. Just work as hard as everybody or harder, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, great tips, great advice. Where do you think the line is between cockiness and confidence? Because sometimes, like, you know, as a goalie, you kind of want to go right up to that. You know, you kind of want to go right up to the line. But how do you think about those two?
I think cocky. You talk about like what you're doing. You talk about like yourself, like confidence. You just kind of walk out with your chest out. It's more body language, I think, a lot. Like for me, but I'm not. You're not gonna like talk about it because you know it's gonna happen. It's just like, all right, like yeah, like in your head, like I'm gonna like save this, and it's more of a like a mental thing, like to yourself, like confident. And like you can, if you play with a certain type of swagger, you can tell when a goalie's confident and really seeing it and stuff. But if I'm like doing it and then I'm like so this or like I'm like awesome or like this like whatever like this, cut that kind of stuff out. I mean, cockiness is, I don't know, it's not all that real. I think cockiness is more like false confidence because you're like trying to tell everyone how good you are rather than like showing.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was going to make. It's like maybe you've had a couple successes in your goalie career and now you think like you're amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you don't work hard. It's like kind of, I'm going to rely on that. Like that to me crosses the line into cockiness, which is not great.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas,
yeah,
you know, the confident goalie, you know, is still out there working hard, right? Is still out there doing all the right things. But it's kind of interesting thing.
A good point Coach Myers always talks about it is like you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. And I think that stays like the level, but like you could have like a really sick, like an awesome game, and you come out of there, you're like, hell yeah. But then it's like, no, like you're not that. Like you're same guy you were like yesterday before that. You just gotta get back to the drawing board, go do exactly what you did like in practice, like keep working hard. Like it's that's what you can't do is like do something good and you're like, oh, now I can cut like this out, or now I don't have to like jump rope this week, or like now I don't have to take like whatever like extra shots. And it's like, no, like now I should do that and even maybe more so I could be just as good, if not better, like next week. But
totally.
On the same coin, if you have a bad game, like don't just abandon like what you're doing, like maybe change something up. But it's just like you don't like live in that. Don't be like, oh, now I suck, or now I'm like this. It's like, no, same guy you were yesterday. There's always like you can get better, you can be better, you will be better. I mean, somewhat. I mean, like you know, like so much people, it's just a mindset thing. Like you just gotta find your way to reason with it, whether it's good or bad, and then go from there.
Yeah, I love that. You're not as good as you think you are, but you're not as bad as you think you are either. So,
truth.
There you go. Well, Skyler, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. That was awesome talking lacrosse goalie. Good luck in the upcoming season. And if you had to leave what's your stick setup? What do you go with for the stick?
Got it right here.
All right.
We got a nice Eclipse too.
Yeah.
With an STX like side tie shaft.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to use the outlet by STX, and it's like a rounded back.
Right.
This might be just superstitious, but didn't play like too hot with it, so I went back to this. This is the work for me so far. I have ECD Hero mesh in here. Love this stuff, but don't tell anybody. I don't even think. No, we get shrinking, but I'm a big Hero mesh guy. I've been that way since high school, so got to like play with it.
Yeah.
I do share my own sticks. I got this off of. I did like some type of pattern last year that was just, I could throw with it, but it was way too much tension on like some of the sides, so like it would just start breaking like crazy. Like you should have saw the game I played against Cornell. The stick I used, it was like falling apart, like very dangerous. But
in the last game,
it made it through though. It was like fine at no quarrels with it. But this one is a whole lot more durable. I don't really like know like the pattern too much. I got it off of Mr. Wonderful, if you follow that guy. I know he does like a lot of like goalie stuff.
I know Tommy. Yeah.
I just looked at it as at a post, and I was like, that looks like a pretty good pocket. Like, let me try it out. And it's a little bit deeper pocket for me, hopefully to help out with some rebounds, and then like a nice tight channel. So far in fall ball and this year, it's been working out for me. So, and then for tape, I just do nice little top hand here for my bottom hand, and then got to tape up the bud.
Yeah, and that's just an attack shaft.
Yeah, just an attack shaft.
Yeah, nice. Are you when you set up, do you set up top hand gripping the throat?
yeah, I go like right here,
Yeah.
like there.
Yeah.
And then my it's probably like around like my, you know, just a little bit inside my hips. And
Yeah.
like once you get too wide, then you're like kind of like can't really get over, but like just enough close. They're just close enough so I can have a nice snap off, but then coming low isn't as tough. But yeah, I like to hold that. I used to like not. I did not in high school or like freshman year. I used to put it here, and I cannot
Really?
believe I played goal. I cannot believe I played goalie like that. Like I don't know. I think Josh even like he like held it like head of his stick, and I was like, okay, like yeah, let me do that. And I can't imagine what goal like playing goalie would
It
be
just
if I
it
just
just
had it like up here.
felt more comfortable
This
for
just
you.
feels so much better. It's like
Yeah.
you're just I don't know, more control and everything else. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Oh,
really helped me out.
before we go, I was going to ask a question about something. So you mentioned that, you know, your dad kind of learned the position, like never knew about lacrosse. And now he seems 100% like he's in, he's fully in, right? I mean, he's totally into it.
Yeah.
How did he go about learning the sport? Because I imagine there might be some goalie moms and dads listening to this in the exact same boat.
I think just we being like around our other like lacrosse coaches, like he came in like obviously I'm a third grader coming in to play, and I remember like my team was just a bunch of like our football dads like were coaching, but like in the like Mason there's a big like youth program, and like there was a couple guys who knew like Lax, and I think he just learned from him, but also he's an athlete and he played like hockey, and like just being a goalie like it's not like too like tough of like a position to learn. You don't need like you need to like learn like IQ like defensively, but the position itself, it's like step to the ball, get your body behind it. Like that's like obviously way harder than like to do, but I
Right.
think for him, like he would always just like he would just be like play big, like attack, like he wants me to play like don't worry, like come like all the way out. I'm like I don't like just like not my game, you know. But I think this he is a humongous like video watcher, like seeing things like the amount of Instagram reels I get exposing him a little bit right now, but it's be like, hey, you seen this? Like you see how this like goalie did this, like blah blah blah. It's just I think I mean now like you said, like he is fully bought in. Early on, I think he would just watch other goalies and try to like pick up little things and be like, all right,
Nice.
this is how it should maybe work. But I don't know, he got me in front of really good goalie coaches, and I credit him that to that like huge. Like he sought out Scott Spencer, he found Resolute like for like basically me, and like knew like the kind of coaches they had. So apart from him just like telling me to stay big and don't drop my hands, don't check mark. He calls us the Olay. Like a goalie, like a hockey goalie, you go for the glove save and you just miss it. It's called the Olay. Like you dip and come back, you're like, oh, you laid that one. So
Olay.
that and staying big, yeah. So don't Olay it.
I love it.
But
Skyler, good luck in the upcoming season. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll see you soon.
really appreciate it. Hey, thank you so much for having me.